Hello, this is Abby.
Dear Abby, this is gonna be a long one.
Oh boy.
Dear Abby, how do you tell the difference between a new exciting crush and a rebound?
Does it matter?
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Welcome to our little corner of the internet. This is the Dear Abby podcast. I hope you stay and hang out with us. See you in a sec. Hey, welcome back to my podcast. This is the Dear Abby podcast. My name is Abby. Welcome back to today's episode where we cover all things senses. I'm tired. I went for a walk and for some reason I'm really tired. I'm very, very tired actually right now. So, because my new medication is giving me insomnia. Welcome back to Dear Abby. I'm your host. My name is Abby, and just a reminder, I do post videos on YouTube. I'm back at it again. I was out for 4 weeks I was posting on YouTube, but there wasn't video, so go check that out if you're interested. If you'd rather not know what I look like when I talk, totally fine. That's probably best. Welcome to today's episode where we are actually talking about senses and the role that plays in recovery from specifically OCD, but just mental illness in general. I'm not a therapist. This is all from my experience. I will always give that disclaimer when I start giving advice, or not even advice, just talking about my experience with it and what's helped me. I don't have dubs and L's today because I'm kind of batching episodes right now a little bit. So I'm very sorry. I don't have dubs and L's. Really quick off the top of my head, I guess if I can think of some just from the past little bit. L, I'm really tired from going on a walk and I feel very overheated and my AC is not working for some reason. So that's a definite L. A dub, well, I could turn on, I just have to go outside, take a left, take another left into my back part of my house and just just plug it in, I think, or click the reset, something with that I have to do. So, but I don't want to do it because I don't want to get up. I was just outside, so I don't want to get up, but I will eventually do it. Also it would have been loud when I'm recording, but I am burning up as we speak. My hand is very sweaty and red right now. Feels a little bit puffy. It's a very similar feeling and moistness to when you are playing video games and basically your hands get sweaty on the controller and then you have to put the controller down, wipe your hands off on your pants or on your shirt, do something. You really got to press hard to get all that sweat off, and you got to get in between the fingers. And then I swear when you put your hand back on it, it just picks up right where it left off. It's like nothing has changed. So that's how my hand feels holding my microphone right now. So it's a little bit weird and nostalgic. I'm also realizing I have a lot of anxiety when it comes to medication. Here's another L. I'm so anxious ever since I started taking my new meds because I shouldn't have read the side effects, but I did. And then it's like everything could possibly cause DEATH. So I'm like closely monitoring if I feel itchy, if I feel weird, if I feel, I don't know, more sad, more anxious, more fearful, all of these things. And it's hard with medication. I've never had good experiences. I'm actually doing okay, but again, I have like actual insomnia. So that's pretty bad. It's been a couple days now with pretty much no sleep. Okay, the dub is, oh, come on. There has to be something positive from today. Honestly, no dub that I can think of. It's been kind of a hard day. So the dub is that I've made it through to today. Today is at the end of its day. So I made it through. Sometimes with mental illness, that is all you can do. So hopefully I get some sleep tonight. My doctor said she would call. She never did. So I'm a little bit upset by that. Very upset. I'm now realizing, I don't know why they didn't reach back out. That makes me mad. They said they would. I'm really giving you guys all the tea. Maybe it's because I haven't slept in a couple of days. So I'm feeling extra open, transparent, crazy, dumb, if you will. So today we are talking about your senses. And I've talked a lot about uncertainty and how to accept uncertainty. Okay, uncertainty. Gosh, I can't say that word again. It's making me go a little bit crazy right now. And sometimes it feels a little bit too intense with accepting uncertainty. It feels very overwhelming to accept all uncertainty. And instead, I've realized what's really helpful for me is to just trust my senses again, and that some things are certain, you know? And I think it makes me worse when I lean into like everything's uncertain, you know, because I feel like that feeds the illness. So I'm learning how to trust what's in front of me more than what's in my head. And that's really hard. It sounds really obvious, but I think sometimes some therapists or some people are really intense about accepting all uncertainty, maybe this, maybe that. And I totally get why, but at the same time, I think it's okay to remind people who are going through things like OCD and stuff that there are things that they can be certain about. For example, anything to do with your five senses, or wait, sixth sense? No, five senses. When I was a yoga instructor, one of my favorite things to do was the meditation at the end. I do feel like that was a little bit of a strong suit for me, if I do say so myself, because I'd have people fall asleep. Well, when we got to the end of the class, and I kind of told everyone, okay, now start to wiggle your toes, start to come back into your body, feel your breath, blah, blah, blah. Gently get them out of like that meditative state. And one of the techniques we would use are the senses. So I would start by kind of scanning the body, and this could be really triggering if you have like health anxiety or health OCD or something. So it could totally vary on what your fear is or something. So I'm not going to do like a meditation for you, but I do want to kind of show how like certain grounding techniques that I remember from my yoga teacher training. And I was reminded because my therapist did a grounding technique with me that I hadn't done in a while, and it kind of awoke a lot of the things that I was taught and that I need to start doing again and incorporating into my everyday life and when I get overwhelmed. So we start by noticing maybe the weight of our body pressing into the floor beneath us. We start to notice our breath rise and fall. Maybe if you're, I don't know, laying down, you feel the pressure of the back of your head against the mat or against the ground beneath you. You feel your couch supporting you, holding you up, and then you start to breathe in and out through the nose. And when you do that, is the air cold? Is it warm? And we're not attaching any meaning to any of these things. We're just purely noticing. It's okay if it takes a while for you to feel any sort of relaxation or any sort of peace or anything like that. You might not even feel it throughout the whole meditation, but the point is to practice. Notice if your breath feels maybe short or maybe it feels very full today. Then let's move on to your sight. So if you open your eyes or keep a soft gaze, if you want to pick a color, start to count how many objects in the room, or at least in your vision that you can see now, maybe with or without turning your head. How many objects, how many things can you see that are that color? So mine will be green. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 things that are green. It's actually not a lot. So there's a lot of things you can do with that, with sight. Also, if you notice any resistance that comes up to almost grounding into your body, to just notice the resistance and slowly get back into engaging with whatever meditation you're doing or whatever practice you're doing. It's not super easy when you've been in your head for a long time to just automatically switch back into your body or to be like totally meditative. It's really hard, and it's hard for pretty much everyone. So don't use like that practice and this practice as another way to show yourself that you're failing or that you're different or broken or wrong or that you suck at everything. Use this as a way to show yourself some love, compassion, and also just to reconnect with your body, because it does get really hard when you haven't connected with your body in a while or when you're really chronically stuck in your head. It's very helpful. So then we would move on. Sorry if this is really boring, but I think this is very helpful. Then you move on to your hearing. So let's do the left side of the room first. So only focus on what you can hear coming from the left side of your body. And obviously you're going to hear both the right and the left side and in front, all of that stuff, but really try to single out and notice what sounds are specifically coming from the left. And then you can move to in front of you, and then you can move to the right of you, and just notice what sounds you hear coming into the right ear. A great way to really ground yourself with these types of techniques is to get really nitty gritty with the details. Like, okay, is this sound loud? Is it quiet? Is it high? Is it low? Is it consistent? Is there a rhythm to it? Start to notice the details of it, because that's really what's happening. And you're trying to kind of reconnect with what's really happening and what's around you. I don't really do taste because I don't know. Unless you're eating something. If you're about to eat something, you can use that as a way to ground. That's a great way, because the mouth is very like all consuming when you have something yummy in your mouth, and there's a lot of sensory things that happen. So it's a great way. Usually though, when you're, I don't know, sitting down, or you just woke up and you're trying to do this, or when you're anxious, you usually don't have something in your mouth. So it's just like your mouth taste. That's not always like, I don't know, not bad, but it's just like, there's probably stuff you can do with that. I don't know. Okay. Sight, hearing, taste, touch. Wait, what are all the five senses? Why am I getting confused right now? Okay, Google. What are... Everyone's screaming at me because I'm forgetting a sense. What are five senses? Okay, sight, nose. Oh, smells. Hearing, texture, and taste. So we didn't do the nose. The nose is another one that I kind of use that as like, what's the temperature of your breathing when you breathe in through your nose? Do you smell anything? The nose is kind of a harder one, so I kind of stick to touch, sight, hearing, and touch. I think I already said that one, but I wanted to share those techniques because it is really helpful when you are maybe spiraling and it's hard to not click into the thoughts or ruminate or anything like that. So if you remember these techniques, and you can look up a bunch of these types of techniques to ground yourself and to feel present again and in your body. It feels like there's no other option but to stay in your head, but there is a surrendering option, and there is like a different way, I guess. Again, be very patient with yourself when you do any of these things. To repeat myself, don't use it as another way to like find evidence that you are a bad person or that you suck at everything. If it's not immediately like, oh wow, I feel so present, the grass is so green, the flowers smell so good. It's okay if that's not like your first reaction to anything like that. It takes a while, and it's hard because you've built up this protective mechanism, and it's uncomfortable to be not ruminating. It's uncomfortable to be okay, and it's uncomfortable to be present almost. And I don't know why, and it doesn't really matter, but we're just comfortable with it. So we stay in our heads, but this is just a way to slowly get used to not being in your head chronically all the time. And I wanted to read and shout out someone on Instagram for their take on this, which I posted on my story last week, and I'll probably post it again. Her name is Christina Councils, and she has a bit of a following on Instagram, and she talks a lot about anxiety and OCD. She's a therapist, so she's an expert, unlike me. So please see and seek out experts, not me, for your actual therapeutic advice. I'm going to just read her post, so you can go read it. I'll probably link her in the description. I'm an OCD therapist with lived experience and don't teach my clients to accept all uncertainty. Uncertainty is the state of being unsure or not having complete knowledge about an outcome or situation. It's a normal part of life, especially when we're talking about the future. For people with OCD, being told to accept all uncertainty can feel impossible. Agreed. I never understood when people said that to me. I'm like, I don't understand. That's making me feel crazier. Increase anxiety and is not always necessary. The thing is, you actually can and do have certainty in many areas of your life. OCD is a doubt disorder that causes us to question information that we do have and we're certain of. If you touch a hot stove, you feel heat and pull your hand away. Your senses give you that certainty that the stove is hot. You can look down and be certain of the color shirt you are wearing right now because you trust what your eyes are telling you. When you bite into a lemon, you're certain the flavor is tart, citrusy, sour, and a little sweet. When you get gas for your car, you're certain of the smell of gasoline. You don't think maybe this is not actually gas. While there are things that we can be certain of because we don't have all the information yet, we can focus on what we do know for sure in the present moment. That post came at a great time because I was feeling very overwhelmed with my medication and just like my recent, I don't know, it's just I've had to take on a lot recently with new therapies and new discoveries within myself, and I felt very overwhelmed, and I feel sometimes there is nothing I can trust and nothing I can feel certain about, and feel secure in. And I thought that sometimes with just the way some people word OCD recovery, it sounded like I was never allowed to feel certain about things, or I was doing recovery wrong if I ever felt certain or if I ever felt full trust in someone. And I know that's not like someone teaching me. That's probably just my misunderstanding. And sometimes it just takes a while to understand what people are trying to help you with, especially with OCD. But still, it was something that I really struggled with, and I think has been impeding my recovery and just my day-to-day enjoyment of life. You can be certain of things, obviously. Like, I'm looking at my cereal box that's in front of me. I'm certain that that is there. It's even small little things. And I think what the grounding techniques do is just put you into the present moment of like, oh, this is real. Like, these things are here. And I think it especially helps with relationships and the people in your life, because a lot of the times when we have anxiety, we kind of trust our anxious thoughts over the person in front of us. And I am still struggling with that with my day-to-day life. I immediately have a bunch of really negative thoughts if my partner does something that I don't understand. And my first reaction sometimes is still to be comfortable and kind of self-sabotage and trust my anxious thoughts first. And that's something I'm really working on and I've improved upon. There's still a long way to go, but it's hard to feel certain about things. But I fully believe that you can. And I know there are things in your life that you've already felt certain about and you feel like you're not allowed to because now you have OCD. But OCD isn't your whole life, and it feels like it because that's what it does. That's like the disorder. But keep working at it and keep just trying. And even if you misunderstand things and even if you don't feel like you can be certain of things, just keep working at everything you're taught, and it'll start to get better and better, and layers will start to fall off. I have a lot of mental health content obviously pop up on my feed. So when I'm scrolling every once in a while, I'll see stuff like that. And I see a lot of, this is how I recovered from anxiety. This is how I recovered fully from OCD. And I think a lot of that stuff is very clickbaity. And I really would like to hear actually what that means, recovery, because it sounds like, oh, they don't ever have intrusive thoughts. They don't ever struggle with anything anymore with like their thoughts or just OCD stuff. But I think that if you were to actually ask people what actually that looks like, it's probably different from what we perceive or what we think it does. So that can feel very discouraging when you just see like everyone's, I don't know, there's a lot of ads too for mental health stuff. So it's important to be cognizant of what online people are saying versus what their reality actually is. And there's no way to be for sure as to what that is. But I don't know. Sometimes I see all of this messaging about, this is how I recovered from anxiety in 2 weeks. And I just think that stuff is like BS, just total BS. I think every once in a while, maybe 0.001% of people who have struggled with chronic anxiety and OCD recover that fast. But I really don't. That is so rare. It's not even worth bringing up almost, because that's just not how life works. And you can change and you can like do all that stuff, but I don't think it's always within 2 weeks. But it doesn't mean it has to be 10 years. Your recovery, how you heal, how you, I don't know, enjoy life is going to be different than everyone else. You have your own signature on this life. So, okay, I've talked enough. Yep. We're going to do a Dear Abby now. And before we dive in, I always need more voicemails and texts. So if you want to send in anything really, but questions, preferably not advice columns, questions that you need advice on, anything like that, send them in the number in the description. That would be amazing. Okay, cool. So let's do this thing.
Dear Abby, I just wanted to say I love your podcast. It has helped me so much as someone who is married to somebody who goes through a lot of their own mental health struggles. Your segments on helping someone out close to you that struggles with their mental health has been really helpful. So thank you. I kind of had a question, or I guess just want advice on my husband and I's like living situation / like stage of life, and I just kind of want to know what you would do in my situation. We recently moved to another state, actually about a year ago, that's a few hours away from where all of our family lives, and I've been adjusting relatively well. I kind of like our independence. I like not feeling like we have to see our family all the time, which sounds bad, but I just kind of like it just being us in our own little spot. But my husband, on the other hand, just really kind of misses home a lot more than I do, and has kind of been struggling with being far from family pretty much every day, and just talks about, wanting to go back and whenever we get to go back. And in the long term, I do agree with him. I would want to raise a family, or like raise our kids around our family and for them to have their grandparents and stuff. So I'm kind of embracing this stage for what it's at, and like dual income, no kids life. I'm loving it being out here. But he's struggling with it a little bit more, and I want to be able to support him in the way that he feels. And I guess just, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling now. I don't even really know what my question is. I guess I just don't know how to like support him, but also feel comfortable with where we're at. We're not really in the place to just like pick up and move back. We both have jobs out here. So I kind of wanted to know what you would do if you were in my shoes in our relationship. And yeah, what I could do to help him kind of get through it. Okay, that's all. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. First, I just want to say it's not bad to want to be in your own place without your family for a bit. It's very nice. And I think it's, for some people or all people, I think it's important to kind of get away for a little bit. Doesn't have to be for forever. I think what you're doing is brilliant because you're just embracing this chapter for what it is. And it can be sad when your partner feels sad about something that you're excited about. It feels very lonely, or like it's just a bummer, because you want to both be excited about this chapter or both be excited about living by just with each other. I think if I was in this situation, it's hard because my boyfriend is not someone that, okay, I don't know why I say my Keaton is my boyfriend. I don't know why I say my boyfriend. Keaton is not someone that needs to live by his family. I'm more so the one that wants to be by my family, but I do have the mindset of like eventually I just want to be near them or have some type of understanding or enough money to be able to go visit them. I don't know what type of dynamic you and your husband have. I'm assuming since you're married, don't know how long you've been together, you are probably pretty comfortable having hard conversations. If you survive to move, you'll be fine because moving is hard. I would probably just have like a date night, let him know that you wanted to talk about something, about like the move and about just his feelings about it. And then I would start asking him, like when you're on the date or whatever, when you have time, to just kind of try to understand where he's coming from. And I'm sure you already are doing this, but this is just what I would do. I would make sure that I'm fully understanding what he wants and what like the feeling underneath it is. And if it's just FOMO, if his grandparents are getting older and he wants to be around them, if it's he wants his family to be around his kids. And I think that will kind of help you know how to support him a little bit more, or reassure that like if it's that he wants his kids to be around his grandparents or his parents, you can just reassure that like I would love that too. And I think that's very important. But right now I do think that this can be a time that we can become stronger as a couple first, and we can have fun together and really prioritize each other, because once everyone's gone, it's really just you two anyways, and eventually you're going to have kids, but then those kids will leave and then it'll be you two again. It's a great time to just have your own little lives. So first, probably I would validate his feelings of like, I know it's hard, and like, I know you miss your family, and I just want to say like, I'm sorry. It's really hard, and I know you miss your family, and that's okay. I don't want you to feel bad for that. But I would really, actually don't say but, just leave it there. And then as the conversation continues, maybe you can circle back. And I think it's also important to kind of ask of him to maybe try to enjoy this, because you know eventually you're going to be with your family and we're not going to be here for forever. But if you can try to enjoy this with me, because I'm really excited about this, if you can really try to be at least open to living here for a while and embracing it for a little bit, knowing that eventually we'll be with your family, I think would be helpful. And that's probably what I would do, honestly. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. It's tricky. And being in a relationship is hard with stuff like that, because you both want to be happy and you want the other person to be happy. And sometimes it's like the situation isn't what you would ideally want it to be, but then you just got to try to support your partner and understand where they're coming from, and maybe not try to change, but just request that you compromise, because eventually we're going to go home. But then you actually, if you say that, you actually have to commit to eventually going home, which sounds like you wanted to eventually, so. And if you just moved, he might come around anyways, just naturally. So just, I don't know, be a cool wife. Just make it fun for him as much as you can, and he'll be okay. Okay, you guys, that is today's episode. If you want to support the podcast, you can leave a 5-star rating on Apple and Spotify. Also, I am on YouTube, so you can like, subscribe, and possibly comment. You can also possibly share my podcast on your story on Instagram. You can reshare what I post, whatever. I would really appreciate that. And love you guys. Bye. 우회전 taking a ride to journey. 눈치 보면서 들어가야 할 때 찾아 나머진 바빠 개설레임 바꾸는 사람들